Come on over to our valley, where boys run free. Run to the lush green meadows in your shorts. Brother John will be your guide in a summer of indescribable earthly delights.
Welcome, all truth seekers, to the one podcast that covers only that which is most important in your world. And in doing so, we have but one objective: truth. Are there things that are more important than others in this world? Absolutely, and our next guest is going to take us to that exact spot. Quick disclaimer: the use of the term ignorance on this podcast is not an insult. It's an invitation. It's an invitation to become informed. We all can and should become informed. Why? Ignorance is of epidemic proportions on planet Earth because we have been lied to by those in power. Our media cannot be trusted, and anyone who thinks already understands that. Right? Wrong. Therefore, this podcast is dedicated to the willfully ignorant that are too selfish to listen or share this podcast. Again, that's not an insult. It's an invitation. It's an invitation to be free. Trust us on this one. It's the epidemic of ignorance, not evil, that causes the problems in this world. Why? The ignorant outnumber the evil 100 to 1. And that's a problem, shall we say, of epidemic proportions. But that will all change starting with our next guest.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, good morning, my friend.
Hello.
I'm telling you, I totally enjoyed that interview. Now, what is your son's name? I don't have it in front of me.
Gareth, but you should have got the one with Hugh as well. Did you?
I haven't had a chance to listen to that one yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Gareth was about an hour.
Yeah. So Gareth is the atheist, and Hugh is a bit more like me.
Okay. It was a treasure trove of information for you and I.
Yeah.
Let me interrupt the podcast at this moment to introduce our first guest. This beautiful and brilliant woman is the lovable Lucinda Lidstone, and she's simply amazing. I call her the British Euclid because of her importance to this facts project. Lucinda Lidstone has spent the better part of her human life as a trained psychotherapist, studying ways to help the human mind find the light and the love so it can cope with the shit show that is life on planet Earth. In biblical terms, that type of human being is called an angel. Lucinda's role in discovering the facts is no less significant than that of Christopher Columbus. Like the world's most noble explorers before her, her quest for proven truth and understanding has now reached an undiscovered new world. That's right, a yet undiscovered new world. This new world is embedded deep into the soul of America and its ideas and principles. So, just what has this British Euclid, the lovable Lucinda Lidstone, discovered? Something greater than the founding principles of America. She's found the foundation by which America's principles stand. And that's called self-evident truth. It's a free world of self-evident truth that resides in frequencies outside of the intellectual pollution that submerges planet Earth. Yep. What she's discovered is not of this physical world. It's of the spiritual world, and it's in a frequency just beyond our nose. In this podcast, This soon-to-be world-renowned psychotherapist, Lucinda Lidstone, is testing her new discovery for the first time. She's testing what's called the first fact on 2 volunteers. These volunteers, of course, are independent conscious souls living completely unique lucid dreams on planet Earth. But they do have one thing in common. They were both born into this world with the remarkable DNA of one lovable Lucinda Lidstone. So let's see how Gareth responded when questioned about the first fact.
Fact 1, we are alive and free. What do you think about fact 1, we are alive and free?
Well, even just, bypassing all the, shit about underworld governments and, this, that, and the other, it's like you're not free anyway. You're born, you're under laws.
Yeah.
How old is Gareth?
27.
27. Beautiful.
Yeah.
And again, nothing that's going to come from my mouth is suggesting that Gareth is wrong. Okay,
Yeah.
Gareth is correct. He is in the exact same place as millions of people.
Yeah.
Okay. And some of the cool takeaways is, number one, when you're having the conversation with him, he feels like he's being persuaded.
Yeah. The guy was out of his body watching, and the nurse took his false teeth out and put them in a drawer. And when he came around, they couldn't find his teeth, and this nurse turned up, and he said, "Oh, you're the nurse that took my teeth out. You put them in that drawer." So how can that have happened? There's so many stories of and they've tested it. They've tested it on people who have had heart attacks, and they've said they've asked all these people, and the ones that have had near-death experiences report accurately what happens in that emergency when they're trying to revive them. And the other people that are trying to imagine it talk about it like you see on the telly, and their facts are wrong. So there's story after story after story where they couldn't possibly have known the information. That doesn't prove actually that consciousness exists after death, but what it proves is that consciousness can have a perception outside of normal human sensing and functioning.
Yeah, but it's just that it doesn't, end of the day, it doesn't make fucking sense to me.
Yeah, but you can't say
But
something.
that is my answer to the question that I got asked.
Yeah, I know. I'm not trying to convince you.
Yeah, but you are.
No, we're having a conversation.
Yeah, but legitimately, it's not a conversation I like having. I never like having it. I don't like discussing death anyway.
No. But that's like me saying, well, I'm not interested in physics, so I don't want to have that conversation.
Yeah, but I can listen, but it's like I'm listening. It's just like I've heard this before. It's like I just can't. There's certain subjects my brain just shuts off on, and this is just one of those subjects. I just can't. I can't explain why, but it's just consciousness after you might have just carved it, because technically there's still some life in your body at that point. It's something that I just can't reasonably get my brain around.
Yeah.
That is why it's one of the few discussions. It's one of the few, and it's one of the few discussions I won't have. Really, it's because my brain will just not get around it, doesn't matter what I do.
Well, and I think this is great, because at the moment, Matt, who I'm doing this for, it's like what Alex Sakiris, this guy that we both follow, says, it's inside baseball, because we're talking in an echo chamber. So he needs to bring his facts to people like you, who are not spiritual, who don't have that way of looking at the planet, because that's his challenge. That's his challenge with what he's trying to bring.
Yeah. I'm just very obstinate about it, because it's like no matter what you say, and it's almost like dogma at this point. Really.
It's not what I'm saying.
No. That's not the point I'm making. I'm just saying no matter what you say isn't just general. People who say stuff about life after death, or these near-death experiences, or what your consciousness existing outside your body after you've carved it for a little bit, it doesn't. There's no way that anyone could describe it, even if it's scientifically. There's no way you could describe it that my brain just goes, okay, sure.
But there's no way I can describe how I love you, but you know that I do.
Yeah, but that's the thing is, I can explain that because, you know, through. I can explain. I can't fucking explain it. Really.
No, you can't.
But it's like, but I don't. I because I've got such a firm belief that I do not believe in this cosmic bullshit. Is I see it. You know, I just, you know, I can't get my head around it, no matter how much people explain it.
You're talking to them, and it's not necessarily a conversation. It's more of a lecture that's saying, "Hey, you're missing some information here in your assessment."
Yeah.
Right? And we don't take too kindly to that.
Yeah.
Which neither do I.
To be fair, the history of me and Gareth is that we have those debates all the time.
Right.
About spirituality.
That's what I loved about it. The transparency. It's like, Mom, okay, we've been here before. All right. Mom. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. He loves you. But, oh my God. I'm so fucking annoyed with this conversation. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now, when that happens, when the conversation, you weren't frustrated at all. You were having nothing but fun, but you saw what happened to his mind.
Yeah.
It's frustrating when all of a sudden it's like confronted in a terms, confronted with your own mortality, confronted with these important life's decisions. And the moment you're confronted with them, if you haven't given it some thought and you don't know, it's a frustrating place to be.
Yeah.
It's you know, like you and I, when we came to agreement on something, and I said it feels like you fall into a tank of truth. It's a pit. Yeah. They're tiptoeing on the edge of it. I'm going to interrupt this podcast at this point again to lay some groundwork or to set the stage, so to speak. The next voice you're going to hear is the lovable Lucinda reading the first fact to Gareth. And then I'm going to play the interview in its entirety, and that will be the end of part 1. We can catch the lovable Lucinda and her brilliant analysis in part 2. But before we listen to the interview, I want to be clear about the purpose of this project, or what we call the facts. Let me take a stab at explaining. On planet Earth in the 21st century, humanity finds itself embroiled in a worldwide battle for what's called the narrative. Yep, it's called the narrative. And within that battle for the spoken word or the narrative, most importantly, we are fighting for what's considered true. So in the case of the facts, we are fighting to protect that which is unmistakably true. So we're working on a project, again, called The Facts. And in this project, the first fact is considered an absolute or an irrefutable truth, one of which cannot be denied. And that's the thing that's most striking about this project, or what I call the most important topic ever. It's the audacity of the claim, okay? Now, for those of you that are not familiar with the word audacity, audacity simply means a willingness to take bold risks. And so that's what the facts are aiming to do, to take bold risks in terms of establishing that which is unmistakably true. Now, we have a human being who has volunteered to sit and be confronted with what might be the most audacious claim of his life. And sometimes that's not easily received. So, moving forward, the first fact is also considered the most important truth ever. So it's required to enter the free world. Again, in the case of this facts project, the free world is not a destination of this planet, it's a frequency of the mind. They are frequencies of wisdom, understanding, and self-evident truth that reside above the frequencies of bullshit and confusion on planet Earth. That's why it's also stipulated that we must first agree with the first fact if we are to enter the frequencies of the free world. And that simple rule, you have to be informed, is without question in our best interest. Now, those are much more details than have been given to Gareth, but at this point, the details are irrelevant. What's important is Gareth's reaction to the first fact or self-evident truth when presented in such an audacious fashion. Again, it's a 53-minute interview, but without question, in my humble opinion, it's some of the most important data ever collected in the science of spirituality and human consciousness. So, in other words, I'd listen to it if I were you. Then, part 2 will include the analysis by the lovable Lucinda, which of course is brilliant. Here's Lucinda's interview with Gareth in its entirety.
Right. Fact 1. We are alive and free. Freedom versus control. We are alive and free. There is an ineffable source or intelligent design or a creator by which human beings are given freedom, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Life is a proven miracle, and all human beings deserve to be free. A Bible or any other written word is irrelevant in this matter because all evidence conceivable to mankind already supports this conclusion, period. To deny this self-evident truth is not only selfish, but it is a proven, dangerous, if not demonic imposition to the individual liberties of others. Today, fact 1 is gravely under attack by a false narrative that claims there is no great cosmic drama or some great cosmic plan that we have a role to play in. This false claim, deception, has been proven wrong to anyone willing to think. This intentional Orwellian deception put forth by dangerously selfish human beings with corrupt ulterior motives. Today on planet Earth, my eyes are failing me. This pure, unadulterated deception is spearheaded by a dangerous deep state government pawn named Dr. Yuval Noah Harari. So, fact 1, we are alive and free. What do you think about fact 1, we are alive and free?
Well, even just, bypassing all the, shit about underworld governments and, this, that and the other, it's like, you're not free anyway. I mean, you're born, you're under laws.
Yeah.
You live in, if you live in a lawless state, a lawful state, so we're saying lawful with bunny ears or whatever, the quotation marks, whatever, they come and take over said lawless state and then make it impossible for it to be free because they then instill their own versions of how they see the world should be, governed.
Yeah.
America did that in Iraq, for instance, So, no. We are not free. We are free to make choices, but those choices are a selected few.
But do you think that it's a human inalienable right that to be free and that this is where everything's got distorted and got wrong? Like, essentially, we should be free to roam, free to speak, free to think, free to be, as long as it's not impinging upon anybody else.
My answer to that will always be yes and no.
Oh, okay, go on.
Because yes, it is a right that you will be free. It should be simple as you should be free.
We're born free.
Yeah, you're born free. You should be able to make your own choices. Yada yada yada. But human nature, as it is, you will never be free because we all seek to be governed.
We all seek to be governed.
We're tribal. We're tribal natured.
Okay, what if you're a leader?
If you're a leader, then you'll be the one leading the tribe. But that's the leaders are exceptions to the rule. I feel they're the ones who sort of rise to the top. That happens everywhere you look. You in companies, you get your managerial people. That's just how it is. It's how it's been for centuries before we even had, probably any of this underworld government bullshit. Before religion was really forcefully guiding us down certain paths or not. Like when it was ancient humanity, we all got into tribes and the person who was leader was the person who owned the farmland. That it's been like that for centuries.
Okay, but what prior to that, before we were dwelling beings and we were nomadic, there would have been somebody that led the people, and that's where I think it's become distorted because the person leading the tribe would have had the vested interest in the tribe at heart, and if he didn't, then the tribe would would say, well, that's the end of your kingship, because the idea is to serve. And that's what's got lost and got distorted in our current world, isn't it? They're no longer serving us. We're bloody subjects to them.
No, I will disagree inherently on that point because I feel like power corrupts absolutely. Like,
well, even in the nomadic
ancient tribal stuff, because at the end of the day, you can have someone in charge. When you're in charge, you will start being a bit freer to do what you want, because you're the one with the power. Like, or let's say in the nomadic sense, when we people, even because end of the day, it wasn't a large period of time before when we came from, say, being like the cave dwelling people, like you had your family unit, was going out hunting, gathering, and then going back feeding your family. It was like a very short period of time before we figured out how to farm. So when the farmers, eventually came up, all the Lord would have to do would be like, well, you're not agreeing with how I see things, no food for you. I feel what it is humans have a natural inclination to be animalistic and be like, to dominate, because we are animals, and we lose that sense of that really every time we have some form of discussion. We see ourselves as more than animals, which is the only real difference between us and, say, the dogs that are barking in the background, which is legitimately that. Just wait till you get that. Legitimately is that we're just a bit smarter. That is really the only difference.
Okay, so I'm with you. I do think that human nature. I was having this conversation with Hugh yesterday, and any system will eventually end up eating its own tail, etc.
Yeah, the whole Rob Ross.
So I agree that in human nature, there's a shadow in all of us, and that we can be power hungry and seek to dominate and want our own way. But so what I would then go on to say as a spiritual person is that that's of humankind, but we are essentially a spiritual being, and in that sense we are all free and equal. But you are an atheist, so you don't have that spiritual concept.
It's not even that. It's like I have done enough research through my life to have looked at pretty much every single religion, at least in cursory glances. So Christianity, you were dominated by the big holy God. In like Judaism, you had Judah. In Islam, you had Allah and Muhammad. You follow them, you follow what they say, lest your soul get cast down into the fiery depths of hell. But even then, you went to you go to the old Viking religions that me and you started out with. Mm-hmm. If you didn't lead a life of what by their standards was
honourable warrior,
or if you were an honourable warrior and didn't die in battle, you got cast to hell. Yes, hell wasn't that bad, you still got cast down to hell. If you were a criminal, then you got or somebody that the Vikings saw as a criminal, which, considering I have very little knowledge of how the Vikings lived back in the day, we don't know what a criminal would be to them. It could be someone who just stole a sheep. Like for us, that would be a couple of years in prison. For them, that would be something that could kill somebody because they've lost their food and their source of making clothing. So for that their souls would be cast to a dragon and eaten.
Well,
that's but this is the point I'm getting at. It's like, with every way you see, sort of like, I'm going to be quite, it's going to sound quite nasty, but supernatural life. Mm-hmm. There's always something above it dictating. So that's always, every route sort of goes to this either singular or many governing bodies at the top of it.
Yeah, I agree with you if you're looking at religion, but I think spiritual teaching is different. Yeah, but it isn't religion.
But I am not a spiritualist, and I do not get it, and I don't feel like it. For me, it doesn't make sense to me. And so it's one of those few things that if someone was discussing it with me, giving me a debate about it, I'd be like, I don't get it, I can't get it.
No, I respect that about you. I know that about you. But how do you love then?
I don't know, it's chemical impulses in the brain. Like, that's how it works for me. That's how it is, end of the day, you get a hormonal response to someone who triggers a bigger hormonal response in you. Someone your brain's pleasant, they're happy to be around because personality's in the brain. You know, if the person is is someone who is somewhat good for you, then or you just feel attracted to them, then the chemical impulses just like steer you in this direction.
So you have never had any sense in your life that you are more than just a meat machine?
No. Like at one point, did I believe in ghosts? Yes. Have I ever seen ghosts? No. So, and I am of the traditional atheist ilk that if you can't prove it to me, I don't believe it. And it's not like I even shift the goal, because I know a lot of atheists will keep shifting goalposts until they get the proof they want. Which, to be fair, a lot of them have such lofty notions of what proof would be, but it's so they will never believe anything you tell them. But honestly, it's like, say, because Christianity is the one religion I have the most experience with, because it's, I live in a Christian country at the end of the day.
Yeah.
That's the one I always go with. It's like, like if, an angel appeared before me, and I'm talking like, what I imagine an angel to appear like, if that, if they appeared before me, did some sort of miracle to prove that it was an angel, and not just me hallucinating, then I might consider believing, But it's that's the thing. It's like, end of the day, I'm of an opinion technically that I might, because people would like say, oh, because you're an atheist, just believe you're a meat machine, blah, 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 blah. I feel like you have a greater respect for life because you value that you've only got one life. That's it. Once that's gone, it's gone. So.
There's so many things I could say to challenge you on.
Well, yeah, but still, fuck it. But, it's just, even then, it's like, does it matter? Does it matter?
Of course it matters.
I'm a human being. I exist on the earth. I'm muddling my way through life as best I can. And I am doing everything I can to sort of stay a rational human being, so I don't believe all the fucking bullshit spat at me as much as I possibly can. But because I'm cynical enough, I've been cynical for a fucking long time. But that's about it. I don't really have because we got away from the question. Really, my answer to are we free? No, and I don't think humans will actually ever want to be truly free.
Okay, fair enough. All right, fact 2. We must be free from coercion or control, light versus darkness. All conscious souls living lucid dreams on planet Earth deserve to be free of control, especially coerced control, all of them. It doesn't matter if you're the patriarch of a family or the leader of the world. We cannot control, it's wrong. To deny or ignore this self-evident truth is not only selfish, a manifestation of evil on planet Earth, but it also makes this human being and their ideology or beliefs a danger to the freedom on planet Earth. We should be free of coercion. We should be free of coercion or control.
Should we? Yes. Is it morally wrong? Yes. Will it happen? Yes. It's something that I don't even really have to discuss the answer really. It's like something that shouldn't happen, but it will happen.
So yes. you have a very fatalistic view of life.
No, I'm realistic. Because end of the day, I'm not under some illusion that if we got rid of all this shit, we'd be living in a utopia. I'm under no illusion of that. Human beings are both some of the greatest animals to earth. We are, because of what we've done, we are the greatest animals to exist on the planet. We've done some fantastic things, but also, if you just look at it objectively, we've done some absolutely fucking awful things. And throughout the entirety of history, the one, you take the violence out of the equation, the second thing that we've done really is we've coerced other humans to do what we want. That it's a fact of life that coercion will be there. It's not a fatalist view, it's just that is going to happen. Because unless you literally from birth teach people not to be like that, which in its own way is a form of coercion. You can't win. Is coercion morally wrong? To do bad, if you coerce someone to do bad things, yes, it is wrong, but you can also coerce people to do the right things.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of context. If you're getting coerced into doing something which in its own right will be harmful to either an individual or a group, then that's bad coercion. Bad coercion is the no-no. If you're trying to coerce people into doing good works for the individual or the group, or a group of people, then it's good coercion. So I'm of an opinion that we should be trying to more instill in people to, go about their lives they were, blah, 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 blah. But if you can make a positive difference, and if that means you have to coerce people to do it, if you can make a positive influence in people's lives, coercion's okay, as long as, you are doing it for an overall benefit versus, just doing it for harm, essentially. Or
but
governance.
in that context, do you really mean coercion or do you mean persuasion?
No, because at the end of the day, persuasion, I don't see persuasion and coercion different. Persuasion is just changing thinking, really, whereas coercion is just changing thinking and then having someone act on the thinking that you changed in them. So it's something that it's a real grey area question, because coercion is just something that is going to consistently be there no matter what we fucking do.
Okay, so even though you and I are very different in that I'm spiritual, you're an atheist, but where we both agree is what's going on at the moment on the planet is seriously bad, and you also agree about the globalists and the 1%. So, but how far would they have to go for you to come out of your you say realistic, I say fatalist perspective? What would be a step too far that you go, no, fuck off, hang on a minute, everything's gone to hell in a handcart here?
Well, no, it's like my issue is, and it's not fatalist, it is really just it is a realistic thing. It's like, unless you've got, and America has it better because they are armed. But in the UK, it's only a select few people who can own.
We have no right to bear arms.
We have no right to bear arms, but it's even though a select few people can bear arms, but it's under heavy regulation. We can only, and whatever we've got is in effect not going to be fatal to anyone that gets hit by it.
No.
Now, apart from our shotguns, and really it's only farmers and the rich and wealthy who are allowed to have them.
Yeah.
So it's already a problem there. Unless you went black market, and honestly, the black market in England is probably some of the scariest shit known to man.
Yeah,
so
I don't even want to think about it.
You don't want to delve into that at all, because, honestly, I'd say England's easily one of the most dangerous places in the world if you actually look at what goes on.
Yeah, let's not.
I'm not discussing that. I'm not really the one to discuss that. But the problem is that I could go, oh, fuck off, I don't want to do this, but then at the end of the day, what am I going to be able to do about it? That is.
But that's why I call you fatalistic.
No, but it's like I'm not fatalistic. I'm realistic. It's like genuinely, what can I do about it? I don't, because people everyone this is something that I've had a lot. Is like people say, "Oh, you're really pessimistic." No, I'm looking at it exactly as it is. What can I do?
Yeah, because if all of us, general sheeples or people, if we all said no, fuck you, we're not having that anymore.
Yeah.
Like with the petrol. Or with the fuel, the cost of heating your home. If everybody said, I'm sorry, I'm not paying that. If everybody said that, there's more power in the people than there is in the elite.
But would everybody?
No, they don't.
And there you go.
No, they don't. But we're talking in concept.
Yeah, but the thing is like in concept, if everyone did it, maybe. And it all depends on what the governments allow us to, decide at the end of the day. Because we could all go, fuck you. Then what? Because they could just go, okay, military, in you go, police, in you go.
Yeah, but there's still more general people, isn't there?
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Because we're English people have been battered down. We have really been battered down and just accepting whether bullshit gets pushed on us. Really, we're not anything like what we were in World War II times. That was probably the last time that English people really just went, yeah, fuck this shit, I don't want to deal with it. Because. Now what do we actually do mass protests over? Really, it's like, we had our, COVID, I think ones for the COVID lockdowns, but if you really look at it, that was quite small numbers in comparison to the majority of the country. 70 million plus people versus the a few 100,000 that turned up for those protests. It's not a lot, but...
Okay, what about the view that you only need 11%, 20% for the tipping point to come?
Well, if we got there, but...
Because where's your fighting spirit?
No, it's not about fight, Mum. You're getting this very mixed up.
Okay. Tell me.
I will not agree, but for self-preservation, agreeing sometimes is the best course of action. Because I'm an individual, and as I am an individual, no matter what fucking happens, gotta look out for number one. And if that looking out for number one is exactly the same way probably every single other fucker in the country or even the world's thinking, really, the safest thing for me to do is go along with it because they can arrest me. They can do something to me. You know, that is you know, it's a real thing you've got to look at. I mean, if you put some mean tweet up on the internet, the English police have every right to come to your door. Shouldn't be a right. They have every right to come to your door and take you away to prison.
Okay, but if you follow... Okay, I agree. But if you follow that mindset through to its ultimate conclusion, you are making your own dystopia. Because people that want control don't just stop there, do they? There's another step, and another step, and another step, and another step.
The thing is, I know, because I've been telling you this for fucking ages. But it's the problem is we can think about it, but unless we have the mass numbers to do something, it will keep going, and that is the reality. We're not talking concepts anymore. We're talking reality. Unless we've got the numbers, and I'll be quite honest, the only reason I think we'll ever get to the numbers is if the government turns around and does something fucking egregious.
Well, don't you think they have already, given people the old jib-jab and killing people?
Yeah, but are most people under the influence? Yes. When it comes to the gas prices, do we all grumble about it? Yes. Do we all know it's really just the government putting too much money on top of the fucking tax, because they're just taxing the shit out of it? Yes. Do we go along with it? Yes. But that is the long and short of it.
But where is your point at which you say no that prevents you from ending up in the gas chamber?
I can't say because I don't know. And at the end of the day, and this is why I say I'll always say I'm a realist. I'm living in the current moment, and the current moment is the government's starting to get a bit, it's starting to force us down a direction where they will have more control over what we're able to do.
Yeah.
And that is, they are, and all governments head to that point.
Yeah.
Every single government will head, and they have headed through the entirety of history to this point of central control in their countries. Now, obviously, because we've got, big communications, blah, 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 and I know you're very much a believer of there's organisations behind this that are funding it. Yeah. Which, I'm still, ignoring about, because I still, even if you take that out of the equation, I still believe governments will end up trying to seize more control. Like, you're going to have more China, so you're going to have more North Koreas. Like, every government will head to this at some point. And even if it's the most loving, functional government that you could possibly make up, at some point in its history, one person's going to get in, it's going to start leading that way, because it's how history works. Again, we've gotten away from the coercion question, but yeah, that's just where that discussion really ends, man.
All right, final one for me. Let me put my glasses on. I won't be able to really see it. Right. We will die, we will live. Destitution versus contribution. When we will die, we will live. Our conscious soul or our intelligence was in existence before we were born as a human being, and it will be alive or intelligent after our human life is over. All life is eternal. It's proven that our conscious soul made a contract or agreement for what we should expect here on planet Earth that's proven. We also have free will, so we choose to break our agreement through our own volition. That's also proven. All human lives require meaning and purpose. Without it, we are lost. At the moment of your death, you individually or your own conscious soul will inevitably be forced to evaluate your own deeds on this planet and your own self-growth and whether or not you delivered on your agreement with the source. When we die, the limitations of our human thinking cease, and our conscious soul remembers once again the intelligence that was already understood before this human life.
I mean, you know my answer before I even say it, don't you?
Yeah.
end of the day, I don't fucking know what happens after I die. But in my, pessimistic, fuck, blah, 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 you die. There you go.
Well, okay. So, those of us that have read a lot and looked at a lot of near-death experience research think that it's absolutely proven that consciousness can exist outside the body. But you are not au fait with that research.
It's one of those things that, I hope it never fucking happens to me, but if it does happen to me, that'll be the point where I go, yeah, okay. But the problem is, because I have a lot, as sad as it is, I have a fair bit of scientific knowledge about what really happens when you die. I'm not saying what really happens as in, these people imagine what they're happening, because at the end of the day, I don't fucking know what really happens. You have
knowledge of what you think happens to this material body.
Yes, but I am an atheist.
Consciousness.
My view of the person is of the person. It's
I know it is.
So, when you die, brain releases hormones to sort of make it a bit more pleasant as you die, which actually, and they're all hallucinogenic shit. So, but, no, you can shake your head as much as you fucking want, but in my mind, near-death experiences, as far as I am concerned, being the lowly atheist that I haven't had, no matter what I read and everything, it's like, I'm still going to think that's hallucinating. Until it happens to me, I'm going to be like, just, normal death row shit. But how I believe life is that, you get born, you live your life, you die, and if you're actually clever about it, you'll live on simply because you're going to be using your nutritious material in a burial to feed the planet. That is literally it. And there's really no discussion you can have with me about it, because that is legitimately how I see death.
Okay, right. So I'm with you because what you're actually spouting is a belief. Because if you've looked at the near-death experience literature, and then you've said, okay, scientifically I'm going to look at this literature, and then I'll give you an informed answer, I'd say fair enough. But at the moment, what you're clinging to is a belief, because you haven't looked. You're saying, you're looking at the person scientifically. Well, you're not, because you're disregarding a whole load of this literature over here that's done scientifically. There are scientific studies, peer-reviewed, on the near-death experience. Yeah, and you haven't looked at that literature. So actually, you're entitled to your belief, but it is only a belief. You can't say to me you're scientific because you haven't looked at this whole body of literature.
No, I'm not saying to you you're not scientific, but this is how I see the world. And this is what you're fucking asking me about.
Yeah, I am.
So end of the day, I don't believe in that. And lack of belief is not a belief. I do not believe in it. I don't believe in life after death. It's not something I believe in.
But I'm not in this instance. I'm not saying it's about believing it or not. It's about looking at this literature.
Yeah, but it's something.
This literature is not a belief.
No, the problem is, and this is something that I've always had problems with. This, people watching their own bodies as they died, and from outside their bodies. It's the problem I've always had with it is that you cannot scientifically test it. That it is genuinely you cannot scientifically test it.
But forgive me, but this is your ignorance of what the actual research is and what the evidence is and what the stories are, because there's so many examples. One example comes to mind. The guy was out of his body watching, and the nurse took his false teeth out and put them in a drawer. And when he came around, they couldn't find his teeth. And this nurse turned up, and he said, "Oh, you're the nurse that took my teeth out. You put them in that drawer." So how can that have happened? There's so many stories of and they've tested it. They've tested it on people who have had heart attacks, and they've said they've asked all these people, and the ones that have had near-death experiences report accurately what happens in that emergency when they're trying to revive them. And the other people that are trying to imagine it talk about it like you see on the telly, and their facts are wrong. So there's story after story after story where they couldn't possibly have known the information. That doesn't prove actually that consciousness exists after death. But what it proves is that consciousness can have a perception outside of normal human sensing and functioning.
Yeah, but it's just that it doesn't, like, at the end of the day, it doesn't make fucking sense to me.
Yeah, but you can't say
something. But that is my answer to the question that I got asked.
Yeah, I know. I'm not trying to convince you.
Yeah, but you are.
No, we're having a conversation.
Yeah, but legitimately, it's not a conversation I like having. I never like having it. I don't like discussing death anyway.
No. But that's like me saying, well, I'm not interested in physics, so I don't want to have that conversation.
Yeah, but I can listen, but it's like I'm listening. It's just like I've heard this before. Like, it's like I just can't. There's certain subjects my brain just shuts off on, and this is just one of those subjects. It's just, I just can't. I can't explain why, but it's just consciousness after, you might, have just carved it, because, technically there's still some life in your body at that point, it's something that I just can't reasonably get my brain around.
Yeah.
That is why, it's the only one of the few discussions, it's one of the few, and it's one of the few discussions I won't have. Really, it's because my brain will just not get around it, no matter what I do.
Well, and I think this is great, because at the moment, Matt, who I'm doing this for, it's like what Alex Sakiris, this guy that we both follow, says, it's inside baseball, because we're talking in an echo chamber. So he needs to bring his facts to people like you, who are not spiritual, who don't have that way of looking at the planet, because that's his challenge. That's his challenge with what he's trying to bring.
Yeah. I'm just very obstinate about it, because it's like no matter what you say, and it's almost like dogma at this point. Really.
But it's not what I'm saying.
No. That's not the point I'm making. I'm just saying not matter what you say isn't just general. People who say stuff about life after death, or these near-death experiences, or what your consciousness existing outside your body after you've carved it for a little bit, like. It's just, it doesn't, there's no way that anyone could describe it, even if it's scientifically, there's no way you can describe it that my brain just goes, okay, sure.
But there's no way I can describe how I love you, but you know that I do.
Yeah, but that's the thing is, I can explain that because, through... I can explain. I can't fucking explain it. Really.
No, you can't.
But it's like, but I don't. Because I've got such a firm belief that I do not believe in this cosmic bullshit. As I see it, I just, I can't get my head around it, no matter how much people explain it to me. I can't. It's just something that I can't get my head around.
Okay, can I ask you? You're being very tolerant of me, I know. But if I could ask you just one question. Let's say right now in this moment, I had a heart attack, right, and I'm boom. And I'm no pulse, no brain activity, bosh. And I float above my body, and I can see you rushing to dial for the ambulance, and I can hear a conversation between you and Dad, and I can see, I can hear a conversation that you were having in the hospital next to my bed, and I can see at the same time Dad down the hallway getting a coffee or whatever. And then I come back and I tell you that I witnessed all of that. And there's no possible way I could know all of that was going on. Would you accept that from me?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know. It's genuine answer. I don't know. Because I think it's and it's how people say the come to Jesus moment. Because it would change so much about how I see the fucking
entire
universe.
world.
Not even the world, not the world, universe.
Yeah.
I'd go, great, you know that, blah, 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 blah. It's just you. That would be how I see it. That generally would be how I see it. It's like, doesn't matter, like, it's one of those, I think there's more so with other people probably, but everyone has these subjects where it's just like there's something they can't give ground on. Because it's so deep rooted to the point where it is them. It's not even it's just a part of them. It is them.
Yes.
So like Matt is probably, I'm assuming, very Christian. or something in that ilk.
No, well, I know why you say that.
But
he would say no.
He was, yeah.
But he comes from the States, for fuck's
sake.
sake.
Yeah, if I offend you, Matt, sorry. But assuming that you come to the States, Christianity is a very huge thing over there. Let's be real. You might not be
more so than us. They're less secular than we are.
Yeah, well, we're Protestants. They're more Catholic. And that's the real deal about it. Well, I say that's just Protestants over there, but it doesn't matter. But yeah, it's how there's probably certain things about how he sees the universe that are and that could even be just personal shit. That are complete no lines to cross for him. So there are just subjects where I think every individual just have these little things that are just like they're so ingrained into their system that it's just like you cannot give any ground on them.
Right. So that is the gotcha moment, actually, and you're 100% right. That is wise, and that is what I said to Matt, because that's exactly. We all have our own paradigms, and to step out of them or change them is so fucking scary. Because, like you said, you have to then change your whole understanding of life.
Yeah.
So, for you to step over from being an atheist to, possibly consciousness can exist separately of this human form, that, like you say, that would be an entire, complete and utter shift of your belief system.
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing for me at least, is if I just say, thought about it that way, the only way I'd even know is if I died. By that point, it's like, well...
Okay, so how does an atheist make meaning of their life then? You said actually it helps you because it teaches you...
Essentially, your value for life should come... So I wouldn't go out of my way to hurt anybody.
No.
For the simple reason is I don't want to have a negative impact on someone else's life because I only get one.
Okay, but what about your life?
My life...
Meaning and purpose.
Well... I probably don't think I've done enough to really justify what I said about the fucking meaning and purpose bullshit about my life. But honestly, I feel like I don't know. So how I think it's more a case of do as I say, not as I do, sort of shit. Really.
Yeah. Well, come on, that's just what I'm doing.
But the reason, the genuine reason is because if I what I say, I definitely know I don't do. And it's the problem is that I feel like as long as you live your life in a manner that you see some sort of value in, doesn't even matter how much little the value is, as long as you've left some sort of mark in a way that you're happy with on somewhere. So for instance, for me, I can actually be a fair bit happy that I've had an impact on all these Year 6 children that just left the school. I've had a good, and a lot of them have actually said that I've become a better person throughout the year because you've been around me, which is lovely. So I have made a positive impact to, let's say, about 100 children.
Yeah.
So my one person has had a impact on 100 times what my person is.
Yeah.
So technically I could just espouse, as long as you have some positive impact on some people's lives, great. But really, as an atheist, it's just like live your life the best you can until you die. That is pretty much, I mean, the real nuts and bolts of it is, the real nuts and bolts of that atheist really, if you're actually thinking properly as an actual atheist is, I don't know why I'm talking for all atheists here, because that actually goes against everything that atheists are. But, as long as you live your life, aren't a detriment to people around you, you have a family, so you've passed on your genetic information, and then, you just do, you do something that is of some value and you live a half decent life, you've done well. But, that is legitimately how I see it. It's like, the human being's job as an animal is to be born, grow up, pass your genetic information on, die. That is legitimately, as animals, that is what you should be doing.
Okay, so what am I going to say to you? What am I going to ask you?
I mean, there's probably a whole bunch of things you're going to ask me at this point. I have no fucking clue.
Yeah, you do. And it's going to fuck you off. So if we come back to this idea of I'm an atheist, I value my life even more than you do, Mum, because this is the only life I've got. Oh, you're going about how I treat my body, aren't you? No, well, actually, no, that wasn't what I was going to say. It's just like, how is it, do you not think that you've given too much time to sitting in the corner of your bedroom? In that belief system that you're trying to lay out in front of me.
Like, end of the day, the reality of what has happened through my life is I just got in a really shit place, and I went through I probably got into some bad habits.
Yeah.
That is the long and short of it.
Yeah.
And doesn't matter what your belief system is, and that can happen to anybody.
Yeah.
But because I'm not such a regimented fucker, really, I'm not gonna hold my life to lofty ideals. I don't do that. I never have. So as much as I can espouse, this is what you should be doing, is that, as this, as a human being, blah, blah, blah. Like, in the day, I found what was comfortable, went with it.
But this is what really hurts me and makes me so sad when I talk to you, because where is that
fire?
Well, the fire, or your heart. What's your? Where is your desire for your life?
My desire for my life
for yourself.
My desire for my life is legitimately find somebody, have children. That is all I fucking care about at this point. Yeah,
and I know that's true, and that's been true forever.
Yeah.
But where is the motivation to move towards that?
Making small baby steps. And that is, that's what I've been doing the last few years. But it took me let's say I made the positive change when I was 24 when I got my apprenticeship to go into the job now.
Definitely.
So it took me 24 years of bullshit to be able to figure out where I needed to go in my life. That is the long and short of it. And it doesn't matter what your credo is, doesn't matter what your bullshit is, doesn't matter what, if we apply it to everything we've talked about in this conversation, doesn't matter what government oppressors are doing, doesn't matter about anything. Every single person's got to go through a whole bunch of trials, tribulations until they find out what they're going to do with their life, no matter what their credo, whatever happens is. It took me 24 years. That's just long and short of it. It could, let's say, my brother, it's probably taken him the same amount of time really to get his head together. Mm. And, me and him could still both argue our heads really aren't together yet. But, take other people more, for instance, our cousin Andrew, his head's not together and he's approaching his 40s, if he's not already there, but there are people like, say, my mate Chris, same age as me, fucking successful.
So what gives your life, we come back to this question, what gives your life meaning and purpose? How do you find that in your life?
The fact that I'm alive.
The fact that you're alive?
Well, and
surely that's not enough.
No, the way I look at it is, there is absolutely seeking purpose in itself is I feel is a detrimental endeavour, because you just need to find that as you go plug along and find what encourages you. For me, being alive gives me the opportunity to say follow my passion in music, or follow my passions into computing, or being social with either my internet friends, taking advantage of this newfangled thing that's become an absolute necessity for our lives, to talk to people who are over the other side of the country, the other side of the fucking planet. Because I've now got friends pretty much across the entire globe at this point.
So have I now.
Yeah. So now you fully understand exactly what I mean. I've been talking to you years about this before you got on the internet sensation train.
But I still don't know what they're like in person.
Yeah, but you know what they're like.
Well,
it doesn't matter, does it? But then it's like, do I, have I been, say me increasingly more social over the years? Yes. So it's just, I feel like you just living your life, as long as you're just going about being you as best you can, you'll find your motivations. It's like asking someone what their individual motivations are. Yeah, you could say, oh, music's my motivation, or oh, art is my motivation, or me writing plays for the less fortunate people in orphanages. That's my motivation for living. Like, no, you're alive. You found your fucking passion. That's all it is, really. It's just like you got, my reason for living is I don't want to die yet, and I just want to go about my life and achieve what little goals I've set for myself. That's it. It's not, there's no real deep answer to it. It's like, I don't think I'm ready to die yet. I've got things to do, so I'm too stubborn to die. That's legitimately the long and short of the answer. It's like, my meaning for life is, don't want to die, got shit to do, too stubborn to give up on the shit I want to do. Like, that is it.
You can't even answer this question. I was just thinking, oh my goodness, what a gift you are, given that we are at completely opposite ends of this spectrum. And then I was going to say to you, what do you think about that? Why have we been given to each other? But that's a redundant question for you, because you'd go, well, we haven't been fucking given to each other. That's just luck of the draw.
My dad did things, and here I am. There we go. In the day, I feel that makes it a bit more special, because, like, you know, if you think about it, it's you know, it's going to be really disgusting what I'm about to say. I'm very, very sorry about it in advance. But, yeah, in one load, you've got trillions of little guys trying to fight for one egg.
Yeah.
I'm the one that made it.
You are. You are.
Yeah, and then you got my brother. You know, and if you really look at it, and Matt won't know this, we're both completely different ends of the spectrum. Like, you know, so, you know, you're like, me and you obviously are on this completely different side of the, you know, supernatural spectrum.
Yeah.
Me and Hugh are legitimately a year apart, and we are complete opposites.
Yes.
Like, there is no way that you can actually put us together and go, oh, they're a bit similar. Like, we're not. We're not similar at all.
No.
But we came from the same place.
Yeah.
Came from both the same parents, both the same home, were raised exactly the same way, but we're at two different ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, so how do you make sense of that then? Because if we were biological machines, wouldn't you both be very...
No, but we're not. But we're biological machines in exact, you know, in literal, like, as in, like, we are literally just biological material, and we have biological coding running through us. But that is legitimately where it ends. Like, end of the day, you can put a 1 instead of a 0 somewhere at a computer, and so the program works completely differently. It's exactly what it is with human beings. Like, you know, that something changed a little bit along the way, and bang, you got a different person. That's all it is. You know, in my mind, you know, like, everyone's got slight, like, this is actually an argument that I heard off of Neil deGrasse Tyson. Yes, he's an absolute fucking corporate shill, but it's actually a lovely thought to think about it. So, and it was in discussion of aliens, saying, you know, like, why would an alien who's that vastly superior, they have intergalactic travel, why would they bother the fuck with us? Because we are to them what ants are to us.
Yeah.
You know,
I've heard the argument.
Yeah, but if you really think about it, it's like, there is a 3% difference in DNA between a chimpanzee and us. The 3% that is different is chimpanzee to human being. What's another 3%? You know, that's the argument, really. But if you really think about it, that 3% also gives every single difference between human beings. It's only 3%. And that's the difference we get.
Alright, on the subject of aliens, where do you stand?
Do they exist? Yes. Have they visited us? Who fucking knows? That is legitimately as far as I go with it. Because I am of the abiogenesis argument, like, you know, I feel like we're a lucky accident, you know.
So, okay, so what about quantum physics, parallel dimensions?
Is it possible? Yes, but I can't say any more than that. Like, it's, like,
because
it makes sense that there are more than one universe, but how that happens, I have no clue. Because if we go through, say, what is, you know, the Great Crunch argument, then there could be literally millions upon millions of universes that have already happened already. But that's, let's say, the one universe just sort of growing, crushing, like throughout the entirety of universal history, versus what you're probably going with, which is the multiverse theory. You know, can that exist? Probably.
Okay.
Can we fucking see it? No, I have no clue.
But the point I'm trying to make is, let's say an alien comes from another planet, which is probably not going to be anything like planet Earth. So they have to survive in that world, in that dimension, in that way of living, whatever it is, which we can't even comprehend, yeah? So who's to say that death is literally that you just go through a portal into another dimension, another universe?
I mean,
and the rules of physics are different there, so you have a different form.
I mean, could completely be the case. But we'll never know.
So rather than this religious idea, that's what I'm more aligned with.
Well, I know, but again, it comes down to, it's the same thing for me. It's like, it very well could be true. And I have the same thing for every religion, mind. Like, it very well could be true. But I don't fucking know.
And you wanna believe that it's not true.
Well, no, and it's something that I think a lot of atheists have put this out. It's like, until we get told, and I mean, physically proven otherwise, and we say physically because, like, we essentially what the atheist argument typically boils down to is the logical reasoning argument. Is it logical that I can walk out there and not have toads rain down on me?
And not have
toads rain down on me?
Yeah.
Like Old Testament Moses bullshit. Yeah, it's quite reasonable. So should I believe that Moses happened? No, because it's quite reasonable that toads did not rain down on my head. But that is, so could there be a magical, I'm saying magical, but you know what I mean, could there be a magical portal, that when I die, my whatever, even my body just gets atomized and regenerated into a newborn fetus that goes through some other human being in a different dimension somewhere, could that possibly happen? Maybe. Do I know? Or will I ever know? No. Because if you, let's say going down that concept, will I retain my memories? No, because my brain's atomized and dead and rebuilt from the ground up. So no, I won't retain those memories, so I have no fucking clue. Or let's just say, if let's say human beings become space-bound and we actually start travelling the galaxy like we do in Star Trek and Star Wars, and we're moving beyond the speed of light, which is physically impossible anyway. We're moving beyond the speed of light to travel between galaxies. So there's going to be, at some point, there's going to be some people who set up around a black hole, because you can actually have a planet go orbit around a black hole. Bet you didn't know that. So theoretically, we could set up a livable settlement on a planet that's near a black hole, blah, 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 blah. So they might start worshipping this black hole as its Lord and Saviour. Because if they anger the black hole will suck them in and everything will be destroyed. Could that be a legitimate thing? Yes. Will I ever see it? Probably not. Does it exist? Maybe. Hell, the aliens that we both believe that are out there somewhere could very well be worshipping a black hole as a fucking god, or their own version of Satan, or their own underworld. And to be fair, from what I know about black holes, underworld seems quite likely, because, legitimately, it's terrifying what can happen with black holes. And I think they're more scary than any fucking thing that happens on this planet, honestly. And you've got to think CERN's creating them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's very dangerous.
Well, the way I think the best way, if you want to live a lovely life and just be blissful in the fact that you're not dead yet, CERN hasn't blown us up.
Yeah. Fucking scary.
There you go.
All right, thank you ever so much.
No problem.
You're going to be a real challenge for Matt.
Oh, he's going to hate me.